Dnes jsem si pozval bývalou filipínskou reprezentantku v triatlonu, Kaye Lopez. Takže celý rozhovor bude vedený v angličtině. Dám vám titulky dolů pod video, takže si nezapomeňte je zapnout a doufám, že si to užijete stejně jako já. Hi Kaye, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to Nusa.
Thank you.
So when did you heard about the triathlon for the first time?
Long time ago. I don't know if you were born already, but I think 1997 was the first time I actually.
Well, I was born 1992,
Okay.
but
You were 5 years old. Our fathers had this idea of why not getting us into sports
yeah.
to get us out of trouble because we were teenagers at that time. So they decided to bring us to Subic for a race to watch. That time it was one of the early versions of the Subic International Triathlon.
It was the Olympic distance?
Olympic distance. There were not a lot of half distance and full distance yet at the time, at least in the Philippines. Ironman was not yet in the Philippines at
All
all.
right.
So it was just Olympic distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made us watch this triathlon event. So that was the first time I actually saw athletes swimming, biking, and running one after the other. And then that's how they eventually got us interested.
Good. And do you remember your first race?
My first race was in a university in Manila called Ateneo. Ateneo de Manila in
How you
Quezon
say
City.
Ateneo?
Ateneo. Ateneo. It's one of the big universities in Manila. But I only did the sprint distance because I didn't really have any athletic background at the time.
Really?
I was more of a dancer. I did ballet for like 10 years before I started triathlon. So I wouldn't be able to finish something too long right away. We had like maybe a few months to train. We started training summer of 1997 and the race was in December. So and that's my first race. I had no background in swimming, biking, or running, except we're humans, so we know how to run.
And did you remember your place? What did you finish?
I don't think I finished in the podium, not in the top 3. I remember my 2 cousins because they had the background in swimming. They finished pretty well. Probably in the podium. But what I remember the most about that race was that I was racing in my swimsuit with a t-shirt.
And did you have a road bike already? Or?
Yes, I had a road bike, but not yet the triathlon bike. It took a while before I eventually got a triathlon.
And did you remember how many people was that? Because it's a long time ago.
Maybe.
And the triathlon in Asia.
Yeah, it wasn't big that time. So maybe less than 100.
100.
And it was a small race. It was just in a university. So mostly students and then not a lot of triathletes yet at the time. So I guess it was like 100.
So, and after this race, you started thinking about the triathlon?
After that sprint distance race, the next goal, of course, was to go a bit longer. So we went for, we started training for an Olympic distance, Subic. The first race we watched, we were planning to go there. It was in April. I can't remember which came first, the joining of the Subic or if we did a relay race first. It was a half distance, not officially 70.2. It was a local half distance race and I was going to do the bike. What I remember the most about that race was it was in Subic. And when I started biking, it was on the way towards Ocean Adventure. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. I remember well.
Yeah, that's the hilly part. That's the hilly part. So I was biking, and then when I turned to my left, there was a runner who was running faster than me biking. So that was kind of memorable for me.
So the Subic Bay Triathlon was the first ever triathlon in Asia or the Philippines?
I don't think it was the first ever. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of smaller races. I
Because
mean,
it's the big history.
yeah. Well, it's the first international race. So
All
definitely because it was
Mhm.
sanctioned by the Triathlon
Mhm.
Association of the Philippines. They were the ones who had the power to invite the
Mhm.
foreigners to come,
Yeah.
at least the pros.
Yeah.
So definitely that was one of the bigger events when triathlon started in the country. But of course, it's now been overtaken
Mhm.
by
Mhm.
Ironman.
But after a few years in triathlon, you start as the professional triathlete or was the
Not
national?
really a professional. Well, I started in the national team, so that's amateur.
And how many people is there in this national team? You
Maybe there were, I think, maybe less than 10 of us at the
Less
time.
than 10.
Yeah, just and the ladies were very
Mhm.
few. I remember when I did my first half distance. I was 17 years old.
17.
Yes, it was in Batangas.
Mm.
So again, not an Ironman event, but the local half distance event. Maybe there were less than 10 women
Mhm.
joining,
Mhm.
including us already. So when I started, there was just a category for women and then age categories for men. That's how few we were. So even when I was starting, like when I did my first race, it was the same thing. It was just men had the age groups, women had just one age group.
Age groups.
Yeah.
Alright. Did you have any sponsors in the national team?
Yes, we had a couple. I'm not very familiar with the rules that time, but I remember we had Speedo.
Mhm. Mhm.
They provided us with some suits and for sure some budget as well because
Some
they
budget.
were working with the Triathlon Association. And then we also had some nutrition partners.
Mhm. Mhm. And you had some
vitamins.
personal sponsors or only for this team?
When I was in the national team, it
Mhm.
was just the national team, so the government
Mhm.
plus my parents. So
Alright.
I didn't really have any personal sponsors
Mhm.
that time. But when I got out of the national team, that was when it's not professional really
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
was never like elite level unless I was in the national team. But it was a semi-professional team because that was the time that in the Philippines the teams were starting to be organized. So in order to organize a team, of course, you need some funding, you need some people to give you some outfits and gear and stuff like that. So we created an all-female triathlon team that was not in any way part of the national team. So it was just us girls. We were just all friends. Some of them I became friends with because I was actively looking for women to
Mhm.
join the
Mhm.
team.
Mhm.
Some of them I was already friends with in the national team. And then that's when we started looking
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
sponsors.
Do you know how many guys or triathlete guys is in national team now?
I don't know the exact number. I know there's only a limited number of slots because
Mhm.
of the budget. So I would imagine there's probably like between 10 to 20,
10 to
and then
20.
there are tiers. So there's a
Mhm.
developmental pool, a training pool, and
Mhm.
then the 18. So
Mhm.
I don't know anymore how many per category, but that's kind
Alright.
of how it is. Technically, the Triathlon Association of the Philippines handles triathlon and duathlon
And duathlon together.
together.
Alright. Alright. Did you do also international races or in Asia?
But I started my first ever international race was in South Korea. That was my first year in the national team. And then we also got sent to Taiwan, no, not Taiwan, China, and I think Malaysia, Japan. And then eventually, I came here to Australia, but I wasn't racing for the national team.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was my father who was my sponsor that time. We got in touch with an Australian coach through my brother. He was the one who was researching the coaches here. So we got invited to stay with our coach, and then one of the events that we signed up for was Mululaba Triathlon.
Mululaba Triathlon. That will be next week here.
Oh, okay. See? So I was there once upon a time.
Oh, good.
We were actually supposed to race Byron Bay as well, but we changed our mind. I think we were too tired that time, so we just decided to make a vacation out of going to Byron Bay. But aside from Australia, I also got to race in Mexico, Cancun. That was with the national team because they were the host of the UCI World Champs that time, Olympic distance. Yeah.
So do you still racing triathlon or?
I recently retired again. 'Cause I came out of retirement 2 years ago. For the past few years, I was just focusing on coaching because I was in triathlon since 1997. So 2 years ago, that was 2017. So I was in it for 20 years. Maybe from 2007 onwards, I wasn't really actively racing anymore. And then 2 years ago, I decided I'll give it one more shot for 2 years. And then those 2 years are up. So now I am just have a couple more students that I'm coaching. And then I just try to train to stay fit.
Stay fit.
Yeah, and just try to...
And you plan some races in the future or just stay fit?
Nothing, nothing like on
not
paper.
On this season?
Yeah, not this year, nothing yet. I was supposed to join the 5K Iron Girl, but I forgot to register. So maybe just like that, fun runs. If one of my students wants to do a relay, maybe I can do whatever sport they need me to do. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I still try to keep fit, because I've had the experience of having students who just want to join a relay and don't have a team. So I'm usually the filler. So, but other than that, I really just want to try to stay fit, because it's been in my life for forever. So it's part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, so we are now in Nusa. What does you think about this place?
Well, this is probably my at least third time in Australia. And Australia, before I went to Europe, Australia was my favorite country. And now that I got the chance to come back, it's definitely in my top 3 favorite countries.
Good.
Because I don't know, the lifestyle here is just great. I mean, I don't know what it would be like to actually live here. You would know better than me. But it's just so laid back, and it's so convenient. If you want to keep fit, you just walk out the door and do your own thing, and then the air that you breathe, you know that you're not inhaling anything that could kill you in the next couple of years. And
that's true.
And everything is just convenient. I mean, I don't need a lot in life, but anything you need, it's just a few hundred meters away.
So your boyfriend is Petr Lukáš from Czech Republic. Yes. Have you been in Czech Republic?
Yes, actually, before I met him, I was there once. And then when I met him, we went there. And then just including...
One time or 2 times?
Once. When we already met. But that was last year. And last year, we actually went there 2 times, at least 2 times. One just with him and his family, and then the other one with his family again, and him and my mom.
So your mom was in Czech Republic as well. Did she like it?
She's been there before, and I think she liked it much better when we went there last November, because she got to go to a place or places in the Czech Republic that she hasn't been to, because normally as a tourist you go to Prague.
But if I could remember, it was in winter time. That's correct.
Well, the first time, us.
First time.
But with my mom, it was actually autumn, fall. So not so bad.
Yeah.
It was
and in the winter time, how do you feel in the winter time?
Winter time, it's like I don't want to get out of the house. It's like walking inside a freezer. It's a little bit too much.
So you was only in Prague?
Which one?
In the first time?
The first time,
in the winter
actually,
time?
we spent a lot of time, or a couple of days in Peter's hometown in Ostrava.
Ostrava.
So that's where it got really cold.
Can you say so?
Ahoy!
Ahoy! I know that you know dobrou noc.
Dobrou noc.
Dobré ráno.
Dobré ráno. Není zač.
That's so nice. All right, thank you very much for interview.
Děkuji.
And yeah, děkuju vám, že jste si koukali. Doufám, že vás to bavilo. Dám vám tam titulky český, takže kdo bude mít zájem, nebo kdo neumí anglicky, tak rozhodně zjistí, o čem jsme se bavili. A pokud se vám líbil takovýhle formát videa, kdy jsem měl tady bývalou profesionální triatlonistku z Filipín, mluvenou v angličtině, tak určitě dejte like, napište tam nějaký komentář, pokud máte nějaký dotaz na Kayi a těším se příště. Čau.
Ciao.
Ahoj.
Ciao.